Alrighty, joining me now is a UFC lightweight fighter who's unfortunately coming off a razor-thin split decision loss to Olivier Aubin-Mercier at UFC's Pittsburgh in September, so last month. Please welcome Tony Martin back to the show. Tony, how's it going?
It's going good. How about yourself?
Doing really well. Thank you very much for the time. The main reason I wanted to have you on was because you announced fairly out of the blue last week that you are now moving to Florida, or you have moved there already. I think you have driven down already, correct?
Yes, I'm actually running outside in the rain right now to the car, but I'm almost there. I'm almost there.
Excellent. Okay, so first question, you're moving down from Florida. You've been in Boston for a number of years. Why are you packing up, and what's in Florida that you're wanting?
No, there's a lot of reasons that play into the decision. So, one was this obviously American Top Team. I used to train there, and they were. I always knew I'd come back. I always knew as a thing that I feel like I needed to get more experience, a bigger skill set, so I can get over here and compete with the guys. And, I feel like I'm at that point. And another reason is that I'm having a baby. So in January, my wife and I are having a baby.
Congratulations.
So I was, and her dad lives down here. So one of those things where she's got some family here, so he doesn't live here year-round, but it's something that, at times that she can go see him and have the family be part of the kids' lives and our lives. And so it's with the training aspect, and obviously, like I said, I trained at HET before, and I knew that I'd always come back. I didn't know when, but it was one of those things where when I was first here, I was 2 years of training, so it was kind of a rough experience to come in and you get thrown in with the best fighters in the world. And at that time, I just wasn't quite ready to be training with that high of a caliber. And, but no, Boston was great to me. I liked Boston. There was a lot of travel as well in Boston, where I was driving from one training session to the next. And a good half of my day was traveling. So it was kind of tough on myself to be motivated to train after driving for an hour and a half in the car. So that's another aspect of moving out here to American Top Team.
So ATT, you'll be there full time?
Yeah, I'm going to be at ATT full time. There's also a start Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu school in Sunrise over here that my head instructor, now that we have a school in Minnesota as well under the branch of the Start BJJ. So they have a couple of schools out in this area. So I'll do a lot of my grappling there, of just my gi grappling and be hanging out with those guys probably 2-3 days a week. But other than that, outside of that, as of right now, I fully expect to be just fully an American Top Team. I know they have the best coaching staff and the best facility, and I live 2 miles from I just bought a house 2 miles from the school, so
Wow.
I'm really excited about it.
So you're right in Coconut Creek?
I live in Coral Springs, so I just bought a house in Coral Springs, and I'm it's not a joke when I say I'm 2.1 miles away, which is going to be a 6-minute drive, and I couldn't be more excited to kind of be done with the travel. And mostly with, having a kid it has given me a little bit more time to spend time with my kid and be there to help raise my child. And that's kind of been a big part of the decision as well, is that, I want to be a part of my kid's life, and work is one thing, but I also want to be there to support my kids.
What about ATT has made it always sort of in the back of your head? You saying you always have known that you'll end up back there. You didn't know when, but eventually you will find your way back to Florida. What is it about ATT that kept you wanting to go back and kept it there and kept it something you knew you were going to return?
They just have the highest caliber of coaches, the highest caliber of athletes there, and it's one of those places where it's hard to learn if you're so new, and I knew that when I went there. I was like, every day I had to resort back to the only things that I was good at. So it was hard for me to, try new things, because if I did those, I was so bad at them that they would easily just eat me alive. But now I feel like I'm at this point in my career where, my skill set is growing tremendously, and now I can go in there and compete with these guys, and try to learn now from these guys instead of just trying to survive. I felt like before I was just trying to survive the whole time, and now I feel like, I can help them with things, and I think they can help me with things, and I think that just I was there before, Master Laborio was there, and he was a big, part of why I loved ATT. He was, the head guy there and one of the most down-to-earth people that I've ever met. And, my first fight in Brazil, he was the first one to fly out of the crowd and come up to me and give me a hug, and I wasn't even training ATT at that point. So it was one of those things where he's always been, just humbling to me to be part of, someone like that and to know him. And I just knew, like I said, they've got the best facility. They've got top coaches there, and obviously they have multiple world champions there, and they have a lot of up-and-coming guys. And I'm really just excited to get in there and get back to the grind and try to see, how much I can evolve.
What years did you actually first train at ATT? Do you remember?
Let me see. So I started training in 2011, and I must have went there in 2013, 2014.
Okay, so for how long? For a year? For 2 years?
No, so what I was doing, I did my camps there. I was doing 6 to 8 week camps there, okay. So I did 3 camps there, and then it was just getting difficult with leaving. Like I said, I had a wife at the time, and she was working. It was just getting tough on that aspect of the traveling and going down there for 6 weeks at a time is tough. But it was also just, like I said, it was tough. And I felt, I just felt like I was trying to survive a lot. And because they go hard, that's how that the school there, they don't mess around. They bring it, and I'm excited now. I feel like now I have something to give them. Now I have something that get in there and work. So I'm pretty. I think it's going to be a great decision. I think it's going to, I think it's going to be the best thing for my career, and that's why we're here.
Well, it'll be a little bit different just because this will be your first training at ATT full time, correct?
Yeah, this is going to be my first time training here full time, and I think that's only going to benefit me. I think that the coaches and everyone will realize that I'm very serious about representing them and being a part of the team, and so it's not like a part-time guy coming in and you just feel like their loyalties on both sides. It's going to be something where I fully go in there, wanting to learn as much as possible and wanting to give as much as I get back. So it's one of those things where I think that I can represent the school to the best of my ability, and I fully expect to become a top fighter from being there and training with the best guys.
And when you were doing your camps for 6 to 8 weeks leading up to a fight at ATT, were you already living in Boston, or were you back in your home state of Illinois? Where were you living off fight camp, so to speak?
At this time, I was in Minnesota. So the wife was working in Minnesota at Target headquarters, so we were out there. And it was just, like I said, it was getting tough with, trying to travel so much and do this. And it was a great learning experience, and I did learn a lot of stuff there. I was, physically, there was no more. When you're at those big schools, you don't get the one-on-one attention that you're going to get when you're in a Boston. So at Boston, that's the difference, that you got to weigh your pros and cons and decide what kind of person you are. Are you a person that needs that one-on-one attention all the time? Or can you be, a fish in a big pond, and learn that way? So it's kind of one of those things that you got to weigh your pros and cons. That going to a bigger school, you're not going to get that one-on-one attention unless you're world champ, most likely. But it's also, you got to realize, I think I'm at this point in my career where I can just learn from seeing people do stuff now. I think I'm at that point where, someone does a technique to me, I can learn. Oh, geez, that's pretty cool. I can start using that now. And at the point when I was there, it was more, I really was so fresh, I didn't really know. It's like I said, 2 years, I didn't have a wrestling background. I didn't come from anything. I just went in there. I was just an MMA guy trying to learn. So I needed that one-on-one attention at the time. So that's when I left and was training out in Minnesota with just Brock. And then I went out to Boston and was training out there with those guys. And like you said, everywhere I go, I try to get, people that are going to be lifetime friends. And it's been, I'm just really excited to be down here and see this new opportunity.
So going down to ATT, as you sort of talked about, you might be sacrificing that one-on-one attention because they have only so many coaches for so many fighters that, even in recent years, it'll probably be quite a bit different from when you were there, just because even in recent years, like I've had a coach there, or multiple people there, talk about how commercialized it's gotten. They're bringing in fighters from all across the world, and there's good and bad. But I assume that's something you're not too worried about at this point in your career.
No, it's something that, I fully have already thought of. It's obviously I've weighed my pros and cons of, going to a bigger school and going from, being kind of the top guy and going in there and just being, one of the guys. It's a thing that I think my personality is I always want to be the best. And I think that if I go somewhere where people might be better than me, that I'm going to push myself to be better than them. And that's just my competitive nature. It doesn't matter what I'm playing at. We could play Connect 4 with, a 3-year-old, I'm going to win that game.
Right.
So it's one of those things where I think it's going to push me every day to work harder and push me to learn faster. And that's just honestly why I think it's the perfect time for me. I feel like, I've been in this for 6.5 years now, so it's, not the longest, but I think that I'm at a good point where, I can keep adding skills. I'm not even close to my peak of knowledge in the game, and I think that, I'm coming into my prime of my physical peak as well, so I think it's a perfect time to make a transition like this.
Earlier you said that this has been something you've wanted to do and something you knew you would eventually do, move back down to Florida and go back to ATT. When did you seriously decide that October 2017 would be the month you're going back down to Florida? When did you make this decision?
Well, it was something, that I definitely have been, weighing for, probably last fight or so, just because of the fact of the travel. It's not, I had a great training staff. I try to build a great training staff around me wherever I go. And there is, in Boston, if you build the right guys around you, I had Professor Kim, I had Professor Tyson, I had Brock coming up all the time, I had Eddie Alvarez around me, I had Mike Perry, my strength coach. And I was training with the, top strikers at Sigatong, and, I was trying to learn, I was trying to, go to Pedro Judo Club and try to learn some techniques there. But the thing is, it's just that travel. Every day was, 2.5, 3, 4 hours a day was just driving from one training session to the next. And then you're trying to get your meals in between those and eat at the right times, drink enough water. And it was just draining. By the time you get home, it's been a 10-hour day, but you've only trained for, 3.5 hours. It's just like, that's a long day to be, the car starts to wear on you after a while. And the hardest part was just training outside of camps, 2 times, 3 times a day, because I'm like, geez, do I really feel like driving 4 hours today to train twice? But so that was kind of the big thing. It wasn't the training. It wasn't my training partners or my coaches. It was mostly the drivers. I feel like it was taking a wear on my body.
At ATT, have you figured out already who your main coaches will be?
No, I'm not 100% sure, but I know that I definitely want to work with Brown. I think that he's, he seems like a blue-collar guy kind of like myself, and I think that, he's got, he's very knowledgeable of the game. He's been around, and the biggest thing I feel like I've noticed from him before that he was there, and what I see, like, when he coaches people now is that I feel like he doesn't try to change who you are, and, that's been always a big part of how I've address the game is I just don't want to change who I am. I don't want to become, act like I'm something that I'm not, So, I need a guy like that's going to be there, that's going to tell you the truth and truly try to help you. I think that he would be a great guy to start with and start the foundation around. And obviously I'll still always have Brock Larson in my corner. I still have guys from, my coaches from Minnesota. I got my coaches from Boston. I'll probably have 8 coaches there by the time I fight. So, it's going to be a, fun experience and a good time of my life to push myself.
And do you start training at ATT right away? Like tomorrow, will you be at ATT, or do you have to wait a little bit? How does that work?
No, I'm probably going to go on Friday just because tomorrow is hard sparring, and I've been traveling for, I've been in the car for 7 days now because we're supposed to close Friday. And then because of the hurricane, the mortgage company is like, last second, they're like, we're not going to be ready by Friday with all the paperwork. We're too backed up. So, we're going to close Monday. So then I was stuck in Baltimore with my buddies, and I'm sleeping on an air mattress. And so they're like, okay, Monday. Then Monday is about to come, and they're like, oh, we're not going to be ready till Tuesday. So I'm like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So then I started driving from Baltimore. Like I said, I've been on this air mattress for like 5 days. And then I'm driving down, and I stop with my buddies in, where was he? Daytona. So I stopped at my buddy's in Daytona, and I stayed there. And then I was okay, I'm going to close Tuesday. And every day I'm texting Charles Rosa to know what the schedule is. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to come train Wednesday, so we're going to close Tuesday. Then they're like, we're not going to be ready by Tuesday. We'll close on Wednesday. So then I was like, I just was turning into a disaster. So now I'm finally here. I finally made it. We're closing the house today. So all positive thoughts. But I'm still just scrambling around trying to get everything figured out in the house so I can finally relax. But no, Friday, to answer your question, I'm going to start Friday. There's MMA grappling. That's probably a good day for me to start on. And then next week I plan to fully start back up on every day of the week and get after it.
Well, the perks of a moving trip, am I right?
Yeah, I mean,
it's hilarious.
It's crazy, but it's going to be worth it.
So, of course, you've already talked about Boston and leaving Sichuan a little bit already, but just to extend on that, what do you feel like you're leaving behind the most, that you'll miss the most, and, as far as the adjustment goes, how difficult will it be? Because, you've been in Boston for 3 years now, you've been training at Sichuan with a number of good training partners and coaches. How difficult will it be to leave that all behind? It's sort of necessary at this point in time for your career, but nonetheless, you're leaving behind some friends and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly just those personal connections that you don't want to say I'm leaving them behind. It's one of those things that I fully think that is going to be the best for me, and I think that those personal connections I built over those 3 years, like I said, that those weren't just I wasn't just trying to use them and they were just trying to use me. Those are personal connections that I feel like are going to be a lifetime connections for me. I think that Tyson's always going to be there for me. I think that Professor Tim is always going to be there to help me. Eddie Alvarez, my boxing coach, is always there when I call him. I can fly these guys out any time, and they'd be willing to come out and help me train. I think that those are, my friends out there. That's going to be those personal connections that you build over those 3 years is the toughest, and that's, it's always hard to leave that behind and be like, this is what I need. But it's one of those things that I've weighed for a little while, and I think that, at this time in my career, that this is definitely the right move I'm going to make. And, I think that I'm just a survivor. Wherever I go, I know I'm going to come out on top. I'm going to be just fine, and I'm going to make the best of it. And I hope that, like I said, I truly believe this is the time for me to be here and the time to push myself.
So you mentioned earlier that your wife is having a baby in January. First off, congratulations. And secondly, how will this affect you? How will this change your view on fighting and just, fatherhood in general? How will that affect you as a fighter and just bringing in a complete new aspect in your life? How will you balance, raising a child and your full-time MMA career?
I mean, I feel like that's the blessing of MMA is that we do have a lot of time. We do a lot of training, but we also have a lot of free time. And I think that, obviously we'll have to do a little bit of daycare and have that type of help because my wife works full-time as well. And I'm hoping that it just, gives me more satisfaction in the world and gives me this extra motivation every day to really push myself in the days that I feel tired, just to give me that little extra push. And I've never had a kid, so I don't really know what my true feelings are going to be when the baby's born. But, I feel, I just know that I'm going to be there for my kid, and I'm going to make sure my kid's happy, and I'm willing to sacrifice. If I have to sacrifice my MMA career for my kid, that's what I would have to do, and I'd be willing to do that. But I think that, I don't think it's going to affect my training negatively. I may have to make some changes in my life as how I live now, but I think that it's all for the best, and it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make, and I'm really excited and just to meet the baby and go from there.
It's probably just added motivation, right?
Yeah, I mean that's honestly it's a weird. I think a little differently where I just feel like nothing's real till it's real. So that's one of those things where people, how do you feel? How excited, and I'm like, the thought of it's cool, but I'm like, it doesn't affect me yet, So once it starts affecting me, I think it's going to feel so much more real. And obviously, I feel like when I see the baby, and she's 5-6 months pregnant now, so the baby hasn't fully started kicking yet, so I haven't been able to feel that connection yet. So I think that, maybe when I start feeling that, I'll be like, oh, this is real now. And, so it's just one of those things that I'm hoping that I know that it's not going to affect me negatively. I'm 27 going on 28. I'm going to be just fine, and I'm ready to make that sacrifice for my kid. And, no matter what happens in the world, if I lose, the UFC cuts me or anything, I'm going to be there for my kid. It doesn't, none of that is going to ever affect that. And so, I think that it's going to affect me positively, and then, so I'm just excited.
Excellent. Well, let's talk about your last fight pretty quickly. You, of course, as I said, split decision, lost to Olivier Aubin-Mercier. What were your thoughts on the decision?
I fought like a complete can. That's my thoughts the whole fight. I thought I think I was a little unprofessional outside of camp, and I got too big before the fight, and then I take a five-week notice fight. To me, is not a good idea. I've learned that now twice, and I just thought it was such a good opportunity. It's such a good fight for me that the weight that I had to pull fight week wouldn't affect me as drastically as I felt like it did. And that just, I feel like it just comes from, first I felt like I shouldn't have rushed. I feel like I rushed the fight a little bit, rushed into the fight just because I knew that I was probably moving, and I wanted to get a fight in before I moved. So, and then, well, honestly, I thought he won the first 2 rounds, and I thought it was a 10-8 round in the third round. I thought, I won on the feet. I almost submitted him, and I'm on his back for 3 minutes. I felt like, I thought I didn't do crazy damage, but like I said, there's nowhere that he would get anything in that round. But, I honestly just felt like a complete turd. I don't know how to explain it other than that.
How much did you weigh over 155 when you got the call?
I was 195 pounds.
And so you cut 40 pounds in total. How much did you have to cut fight week?
Fight week, I came in, I was waking up about 78, 77.
Is that higher than usual?
Yeah, normally I'll come in at about 73, waking up 72, and I'm usually pulling. But that's also 9-10 weeks of eating extremely healthy, where my body's ready to pull the water. This is what I explain to people, that there is a healthy way to cutting weight, and then there's an unhealthy way. And I did everything right. The second I got the call, 5 weeks out, right, I have my dietitians. We got on a plan. I did everything to the T. I ate every single thing, drank every single thing that we were told. And it's just, 5 weeks isn't a long time for your body to adjust and be prepared for what I had to do. So it was more, cardio-wise, I felt phenomenal leading into the fight. Everything physically-wise, I felt great. So it wasn't that. It was me getting up to 195 pounds. What I should do is stay at 185 and not jump up, too crazy. And so that's just me being unprofessional. And, you learn those lessons the hard way. And, a loss, granted it was a split decision. I feel like that was a 50% Tony in the cage. And I think that I could easily have walked over him if I would have just fought the way I know I can fight. And so that's on me, though. That's, good for him. He won the fight, but I do think the first round was extremely close, but I did edge it to him. And, the second round he definitely won. I did absolutely nothing. And the third, I thought I dominated.
Right. How much do you happen to know right now how much you weigh?
I'm about 190 right now. But so what normally happens is after my fight, I balloon up really quick because all the sodium, and then I start to drop back down. So I'm not gorging myself like I was, prior to that. So now naturally I'm going to sit around probably 87, 88. And, but I'm also, this is another reason why I was big adamant on coming down to ATT, is that I think it's a great time for me to train with the 70-pounders down there and figure out if I think a move up to 170 would be beneficial to me. I think that I wouldn't be as big as I was at 55, but I would also the weight cut would be extremely easy. I just worry about training the entire camp and not have to worry about, my diet. And obviously you always want to be professional and be worried about that, but not to the point I'm here that when I go down to 55 that I have to.
Well, that's what my next question was going to be. You're a fairly large lightweight. You have a pretty big cut, as you talked about. How realistic do you think it is that you might move up, or is that what you're here to find out? Is that something you will find out very soon?
That's something that I plan to find out very soon here. So I plan on, taking these next 2-3 weeks here, and obviously the first week's probably going to suck. I'm probably not going to be in the best shape because I've been traveling and doing all that, and new guys, your adrenaline's going, so I'm going to pretty much just talk about the first week, and then the next 2 weeks I'm going to figure out if, I think, I'm going to talk to the coaches here after, a couple weeks and see, do they think that, I'm better suited for 55 or 70? I know I can make 55. I just need time to make the weight. And that's what I've said from the beginning is that, I just need 8 to 10 weeks to make it, and I can make it healthy. I feel fine making the weight. I just need the time to make it. And that's just something that, I took the short notice fight. It's on me for taking the fight and not being, lower weight. But it's just one of those things where, it's losing sucks when you feel like you weren't there 100%. It's not, if you lose and you feel like 100% that was you in there and that he was just a better guy, it's easy to suck that up, move on, and be like, okay, I got to get better. I got to do this. No, I feel like I was a way better fighter. I think that I have a way better skill set. I think that, I have way more potential than him. I think that I think that if we fought and he gave me a 10 weeks notice, I'd put him away in the first round. I truly believe that. And so now it's more, I got to be professional. I got to figure out exactly what my game plan is here for, weight classes. And, I do truly wish they had that 165 weight class.
Yeah, that certainly would benefit a lot of fighters. It's good to hear that from you, just because I know, it's something a lot of fighters want and something the UFC should implement. So hopefully they do that. My last question for you, of course, you're still just you just moved. Today you got into your new house today. You're getting to ATT, on Friday, and will be training there. But do you have any sort of idea when you would like to fight next? Are you hoping to get one more in? Probably not before the end of the year, or early 2018. Is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, honestly, I would, I'm thinking that once I get all the stuff moved into the house, I'm going to start really getting back after it. I'm hoping, late December, January would be nice. Like I said, my baby's due January 15th, so it'd be kind of nice to get a fight in, prior to that. But, I don't know how realistic that is, but I'm also, it's one of those things where I don't want to wait till February or March just because of the aspect of a new baby. I don't know what I'm going to be, how my training regimen is going to change or any of that aspect of me being there for the baby. So, I'm hoping late December, January. And, what weight class, I'm not sure, but I'm going to sit down with all the coaches in a couple weeks and my management and try to go through and figure that part out.
Excellent. Well, Tony, I appreciate the time as always. Before I let you go, let my audience know where they can find you on social media, and if there's anybody you would like to thank or give a shout out to, the floor is yours.
No, thank you, obviously, for always having me on the show and showing your support. I appreciate that. And obviously, anyone that wants to reach out, T. Martin MMA is my Twitter, Instagram, and just give me a holler. And other than that, obviously just thank all my training partners from everywhere. Obviously Boston, Minnesota. I have a lot of coaches and all my family and friends that are fully supportive of me in my career. And hopefully, I'm looking forward to the future. And, that's all I got for you.